Welcome to the MLB Slate Breakdown. I'm Jason Gilbo. With me is Brent Hine. Taking a look at tonight's 14-game slate on FanDuel and DraftKings. I feel like we had a good stretch of slates where we didn't have to worry about a ton of weather, and then now we're starting to get back to where we were earlier in the year.
Yeah, you say it's a 14-game slate. Probably not going to end up being a 14-game slate. A lot of weather concerns, and yeah, it's going to make things a little bit muddy tonight.
Yeah, like the first 3-4 games here on the East Coast are going to be ones to keep an eye on. And that hurts because there's a couple of pitching options in the spots where you feel like you could use. And there's not a lot of fun pitching options on this slate in general.
No, pitching on this slate tonight is pretty much garbage. There's a lot of guys that I'm interested in taking shots on, and like one guy that I think is safe, and that's safe in quotation marks.
Yeah. You spotted this one a while out, but we got Wei-Yin Chen in course tonight.
Just a little bit of a teaser. He is not the safe pitcher on this slate.
No, good point. Ways till we get to him, but first game here, you got Arizona and Pittsburgh. Ivan Nova taking on Patrick Corbin. There is some rain in this game. We need to keep an eye on it. I don't mind Patrick Corbin here. I don't generally like taking pitchers against Pittsburgh. The Pirates are kind of just low strikeout bats, but Corbin I feel like kind of has to be an option to at least look at here.
I guess I don't know, 5 runs over 6 innings in his last starts. He's given up 5 or more runs in 3 of his past 4 starts. Something is obviously way off with this guy. I have concerns about paying 11.6 for him, especially considering there's probably not a lot of strikeout upside for him. I guess if you want to take a shot in tournaments, you can. Mother Nature is probably going to prevent us from doing that anyway, so it may not even matter. But again, at that price tag, I can't pay that price for him. I just can't do it.
He's just a GPP guy here. I kind of feel the same about a couple other guys. I know there's some cheaper options even on the board, but like you said, there's just not a lot of guys that I feel safe with. And not a lot of guys I feel comfortable using even at their prices. And we don't even have a lot of expensive options. They're just expensive for their names.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think something to consider is he just faced this Pirates team 2 starts back, gave up 5 earned runs. I don't necessarily think expecting that is out of the realm of possibility in the spot.
Oh, definitely not. Any interest in Pirates bats here then?
If weather holds out, I would be taking a look at David Freese, Harrison. I don't hate Meadows, who continues to rake against lefties. Osuna, some of the cheaper options.
Diamondbacks side of things here with Nova. Diamondbacks have stayed hitting the ball pretty well. We saw Cool falter out after a couple decent starts in a row. I don't know.
Shocked.
Arizona, I think you can get away with some lefties here. I like taking lefties here against Nova, but even on both sides, he's still allowing 36% hard contact to righties. I know the ground ball rate's up, but guys like Goldschmidt are red hot. Some of these options are still fairly cheap, like Descalso and Marte and John Jay and Lamb.
Yeah, Descalso is interesting at his price, 3,800. Once you get below 4K-ish on DraftKings, there's not a whole lot to like. So Descalso, Ketel Marte, as you mentioned, definitely interesting options here. But Peralta, a guy continues to absolutely rake. You're going to get a pretty lefty-heavy lineup here, and if you wanted to take a shot on any of these lefties, assuming the weather holds out, feel free. I'm probably going to be doing the cheaper options like the Ketel Martes and the Descalsos, though.
Yeah, definitely looking like the middle infielder guys just because they're at nice prices. Below 4K, like you mentioned, and 2 guys have been hitting the ball extremely well of late.
Yeah, for sure.
Next game here, we got Philly and Washington. This is another weather game, but you got Zach Eflin versus Tanner Roark. I don't know. I feel like Roark against, lineups with 4, 5, 6 lefties in it kind of concerns me.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit concerned with Roark. I think he might be an interesting option as far as cash games go, just because I think he's going to be popular. Given that the Phillies do strike out a lot against righties. Again, this is another weather game, so this one may end up not even playing. Unfortunately, you're also going to get there. There could be a delay in game, which would definitely hurt Rourke. I'm more inclined to take some of the Philly bats in this spot, especially when you consider like Odubel Herrera, who is just absolutely raking recently, and is 4,600 on DraftKings. Like the dude has double-digit fantasy points in 4 straight games, homers in 4 straight games. Like he's hot right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like some of these bats here. Like you mentioned, Herrera just continues to crush. He's only 4-6 on DraftKings. Carlos Santana and Nick Williams, I feel like, are both underpriced lefty bats here as well. Both hit that sinker extremely well. We've seen Williams start to heat up, especially in the power department of late when he's been healthy. He's only 3-3 tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely someone that I have a little bit of interest in as far as like a value option. Again, assuming the weather holds out.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping because I feel like Williams and like Carlos Santana are going to be maybe staples in my lineup here.
Maybe I could definitely see it. There's one other first baseman that I think I like way more than Santana, which we'll get to here shortly.
It's just that 3.8 price tag just stands out for a guy who's been clubbing the ball here.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice price, but there's also someone else the same price that I like.
I know what's on the Philly side here.
No.
Washington, you got Zach Eflin, a guy who's turned up some strikeouts this year, but lefty's still something that are getting to him a little bit. 325 over 194 ISO, a lot of fly balls. Still think this is too tough of a lineup for him to get through here.
Yeah, because you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lefties in that lineup: Eaton, Soto, Harper, Murphy, Wilmer Difo. Unfortunately, it is the Ofer game for Difo coming up. He's been alternating good and bad games for like 10 days now, and he just had a good game last night, so he's going to have a bad game tonight. That's just how daily fantasy works. It's proven. You can ask all the stat nerds out there. This is like a proven thing. So, but like Bryce Harper, Soto, definitely guys that I have interest in. It's Murphy. I don't know. I can't do it. Not at 4-2 until he actually starts hitting. Like I don't know that I can take that shot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I even rather use like Anthony Rendon if I'm kind of looking to stack here. Rendon's red hot, another homer last night. He's been clubbing righties this year, 200 ISO, 353 WOBA. Eflin's still a guy I don't mind picking on. I'm not completely buying his dominance against righties so far this year.
Yeah, I completely agree there.
So, even a Trey Turner, you can get in on a 4-6.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about paying that price for him just because like there's a couple of guys that I think are a little bit more interesting that might be better options.
I just find myself having the cash, given that like no one's going to be like there's no pay up options on the hill.
Yeah, but I mean, I would rather pay up a little bit more if I have the cash and get like Story.
Well, yeah, we all want Story and Arnett on these guys.
There you go.
Moving on here, Chicago, Cincinnati, Luis Castillo taking on Jose Quintana. Any interest in these arms here? There's weather in this one as well, but any interest in arms?
Weather? You don't say. Quintana's a little bit interesting just because he's been pretty darn good of late. I mean, giving up 2 or fewer runs in 5 of his last 6 starts. There's been some strikeouts there for him recently. The problem is like the Reds are not bad against lefties, so I don't know that I want to take the risk with Quintana. He'd be a tournament arm only, but like in that same price range, I think there's a couple guys that I would rather take shots on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't been getting Quintana right much this year, and against a Reds team, they're just more pesky than bad, I feel, and there's still a couple options within here that can get to him, and even some of the lefties. I know Quintana's been good against lefties, but Votto and Jeanette are still tough outs from the left side. They got a couple bats like Barnhart and Peraza and Winker that are actually good contact bats. Like I don't know if they're going to strike out a ton here.
Yeah, and there's a decent amount of power. I mean, you have Suarez, you have Votto, as you mentioned, who's good against lefties. Duvall, some power options in there. Even guys like Barnhart and Scooter Gennett, who has been just raking against lefties this season, makes it a little bit concerning. Scooter's definitely interesting because as I mentioned, like there's not a second base is not a position that I really, really like that much tonight. Unfortunately, like at 4,600, I don't know that I want to pay that price for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's hard to get excited about these Reds bats too at some of their prices. Like, you got Eugenio Suarez, but I think there's other third basemen that we'd like to pick on more and just in easier matchups. I do think Barnhart's an interesting catching option though, still at 3-2.
Yeah, I don't mind taking a shot on Barnhart, who continues to hit pretty well.
Yeah. Cubs, they got kind of shut down by Matt Harvey last night.
I was paying attention to the draft, so I know nothing of what you speak. I do not acknowledge a Matt Harvey dominant outing.
Yeah, it was that fun, especially on the slate where there's like nowhere to go but the Cubs. So that was cool.
I mean, Jason Hayward had a good game.
He did, and he's had a good game. And we got Luis Castillo back here. We've seen struggles against lefties. I don't know if I'm completely willing to just go all in back to the well here with the Cubs, even though it's kind of a good spot.
It is a pretty good spot, and I definitely like taking a shot on Jason Hayward, Kyle Schwarber, the lefties, Zobrist. Those would be the guys that I would be paying the most attention to.
I'm with you. Yeah, Schwarber, 412 ISO against that changeup, 258 ISO against that 95 mile per hour fastball. So he's a guy who stands out. And then like Rizzo's in the same boat for me. I like him if I'm paying up at first base. And I think because Desmond's going to be really popular, Rizzo might come in a little bit lower owned.
Yeah, I can agree there. I saw something last night and I didn't get a chance to fact check it. Does Jason Hayward actually have a higher OPS than Anthony Rizzo this season?
Ooh.
I saw someone tweet that out, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to fact check it.
It would not surprise me because of just how awful Rizzo started out the year.
That would be kind of crazy if that is true.
We need one of those technical difficulty things like they put up in The Simpsons.
Rizzo,
Their family.
766 OPS, and where is Hayward? 775. So yes, that is kind of crazy.
He's finally coming around.
Yeah.
And it's good to see. I mean, he's still underpriced. Like he's still 4K. The same with Zobrist. Zobrist has been solid this year. Like these lefty outfielders are really solid spots, and I think at their prices, and I don't think they're going to be egregiously overowned either.
No, I don't think so either. And unfortunately, again, weather.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. Next game here, we got Seattle and Boston rematch of same pitching matchup we had a few games ago. Wade LeBlanc take on Steven Wright. Wade LeBlanc is, I think, at this point, completely proven everyone wrong if you thought Wade LeBlanc was not going to be anything special this year because he's been really good.
Can I take a victory lap for touting Wade LeBlanc in his very first start this season?
Sure, go ahead. We want to see you jog around the couch back there and come back around.
Unfortunately, there's a wall right up against the couch, so I can't quite do that. But I actually put Wade LeBlanc in the pitching article today, and this is a spot I've liked him all season long. I thought he's been a guy that's been serviceable for the most part, and a guy that I've used a decent amount. It's paid off in the majority of the starts, especially when you consider he's always really, really cheap. I don't think using him tonight against Boston once again is chasing the game he just had. I know he just went 7.2 innings, struck out 9, only gave up 2 hits. I don't expect that again tonight, but at 6,400 on DraftKings, I'm completely okay if he goes 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, and 1 earned run or something like that, and has a shot at the win. This is Boston. I will continue to take lefties against Boston until it stops working.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like his range of outcomes, he's been pretty solid. The game against Houston was his, biggest down point, but a guy who's been pretty consistent about kind of hovering around that 13 DK point mark as a floor, despite some, couple of bad matchups here and there. Like I do think 6,400 is a reasonable price for him. Um, like you said, Boston's been a team this year where we just haven't seen a ton of power against, especially in that back half of the lineup. JD Martinez hasn't necessarily been a lefting matching guy he was in prior years. Yeah, I definitely don't mind it. Strikeouts have been up for LeBlanc a little bit of late as well, especially in some tough matchups, like the Angels, like Houston, and like Boston. Yeah, 6,400. It is too cheap.
Yeah, and I mean, like I put in the article, Boston 27th ranked offense this season against lefties, almost 25% strikeout rate. It's not numbers that I don't think anybody expected to see, and like their hard contact is below 30%. Like I don't think anyone really expected that out of Boston, but Vegas is like all in on Boston. They have what, like 4.95 runs. I'm definitely I definitely think LeBlanc is gonna shut them down tonight.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like you said, Boston, I don't think we didn't anything expect this, and then we kind of dive in and go, okay, well, Devers wasn't going to keep that up against lefties, and then you see Nunez, Swihart, Vasquez, Bradley in the back half of this lineup, and you're like, oh my God, they really are this bad.
Yeah, they are.
So, as usual, Way LeBlanc gets around the first couple of guys here. Not tremendously worried about Benintendi. I know he's got 210 ISO against lefties, but 291 WOBA, hard contact drops severely, ground ball rate goes up, so not too worried. It's that's Martinez, Bogart still the has to get around, and we've talked about Martinez against lefties so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Seattle side of things here, Stephen Wright, a guy who's pitched well. Weather's still cool. That's all I consider when even thinking about Wright is it like over 80?
Yeah. It's one of those things I hate trying to trust a knuckleball pitcher. And like if you want to roll him out, like he has pitched really well. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I just don't know what you can say about him. Like he's a knuckleball pitcher. Like
it's the strikeouts haven't really been there. He's just been a guy who's going deep in the games. 8,500. I think if you want to take a shot, it's fine. I think there's a couple other guys I'd rather take out for more of an upside because I just kind of see. Obviously, his range of outcomes is kind of all over the place. I don't see him really cracking like 20-plus DK points tonight. I think he kind of is more in that 15 range. And I think if you're looking at GPPs and obviously not playing them in cash, you're probably just still looking elsewhere. But I don't hate it if you want to toss if you're building multiple lineups out. That's just kind of how I'd use them.
Yeah, I agree.
So taking shots against him, it's kind of tough here. Obviously, there's not a ton of build up as far as history goes against knuckleballers, but like I can still get behind a Cruz and Haniger, especially in this ballpark if he hangs one.
Yeah, I guess I'd be leaning like Cruz, Haniger, Seager. That'd probably be about it. Maybe Zunino.
Yeah, it's the guys that I know can put one over that wall.
Yeah.
So, but nothing more than GPP guys against him.
Yep.
LA and New York, you got Zach Wheeler taking on Alex Wood. Interesting pitching here. Alex Wood's just been so meh.
Yeah, he made it in my pitching article, and it's less about Alex Wood and more about the Mets.
Yeah. If he doesn't surpass 20 DK points, I'm just so done with Alex Wood.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, I noted it in the pitching article. Like, it was going against the Giants. Like, I know the strikeouts weren't really there. He did look better overall, though. Like, the velocity was solid. Only gave up 1 earns. Like, there were some good signs there for Wood. And going up against the Mets, who are the worst offense in baseball against left-handed pitching, even after having a Coors meeting or like a Coors series a couple of days ago, like they're still really, 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 really bad. I'm definitely willing to take a shot on Alex Wood here, especially in tournaments, because I want to be like, if if he is healthy again, like he's been plagued by a hamstring injury, but if what we saw against the Giants last time out is signs that he's healthy, then I want to be on that train before everyone else gets on.
Yeah, like I'm actually okay with him in cash. I know he hasn't pitched terribly deep into games, and did have that big blow up in cores as kind of as you'd expect. But I feel like this guy's range of outcomes probably like 15 to 25 DK points, and I do think he's safer in comparison to some of these other names that are around him, even CC Sabathia, but like Zach Eflin and Heaney. I do like Flaherty for a little bit more, but I mean, I think he's a fairly safe option.
Safe.
So that's the thing. It's when we say that, it's safe in consideration to the slates, I guess.
It's just like, what was that Wednesday when like there was absolutely no safe pitcher on the slate? It was like Joey Lasagna and everyone else, and like, yeah, it's another one of those slates.
Yeah, and I don't have interest in picking on Wood here either. A good ground ball guy, and just you're still getting a decent amount of lefties and a lot of right-handed bats that aren't particularly hitting lefties well this year.
I guess as Drupal Cabrera would maybe be a guy that I would consider if I wasn't using Wood, just because, again, not really that high on a lot of second basemen, and he's cheap.
Yeah, that's about it. Dodgers side things here. Zach Wheeler, guy who's given up a lot of hard contact to lefties. I know the strikeouts have been up a little bit, and I know he's pitched well at times this year. I kind of like some Dodgers bats over like a Wheeler.
I absolutely love one specific Dodgers bat, and he's going to be my home run call tonight, and that's Max Muncy. Just he's a lock for my lineups. I don't care if there's a right-handed pitcher on the mound that gives up a lot of hard contact and fly balls to lefties. Max Muncy is going to be my dude, and I absolutely love him. I don't care about the price on DraftKings at 4,500. He is well worth it in my eyes. But like Jock Peterson in a pretty good spot here. I like him at 4,400. I do really like the lefties here. Like Rondal is definitely an interesting option, and then you get like Bellinger down towards the bottom of that lineup. I don't hate either.
Yeah, I really like Grandal tonight at 3.8. He's one of my favorite catching options on the board. We need to start treating Muncy like Coors, because he's just an automatic home run call.
Just like he is Coors. Max Muncy is the player equivalent of Coors.
I mean, 333 ISO, 403 WOBA this year, 50% hard contact rate against right-handers. It's just he's been the guy. Like this Dodgers offense really hasn't been that good. They've been better of late, but Muncy's just been a guy who's absolutely carried them, I feel like, over the last month and a half.
Yeah, he has.
So, Dodgers lefties, you can go there. Detroit, Cleveland next. Shane Bieber taking on Mike Fiers. I feel like Bieber's a guy people are going to be looking at here tonight quite a bit.
Yeah, I almost put him in the pitching article, and then I didn't. One, there's weather concerns in this game. Imagine that. Winds blowing out around 15 miles per hour. Yeah, I just don't want to take that shot on Bieber in this spot against the Tigers. Like, I know the Tigers offense is pretty darn bad, but like Bieber, it's only 35 plate appearances, but against lefties, 536 WOBA, 333 ISO, fly balls, a lot of fly balls to lefties, and there's some power lefties in this lineup that are definitely interesting.
Yeah, like, Goodrum was a guy over 200 ISO. Candelario, a guy over 200 ISO. Victor Martinez, not a power lefty. Even Leonis Martin's a guy who showed some pop against right-handers this year. Like, I just think this Detroit lineup is better than what people think as far as like DFS goes. Maybe on paper they don't look anything great, but they don't present like a ton of upside all the time picking on them.
No, I mean, there's just not a ton of strikeouts in that lineup. I mean, it comes down to that. And then like I said, I mean, you do have the power lefties. Like Nico has been hitting really, really well recently. And then Candelario and Leonis Martin, just good overall bats. Not always a ton of power, but have shown some this season.
Yeah. I think if Beavers ends up being popular, I think these guys are interesting GPP options.
Yeah, I actually think like Candelario, Martin, Nico, I think they're cash options in the spot, honestly.
Goodrum, especially with that second base eligibility, like 3.6 there is a nice price tag, and I know it's the dreadful position for you.
Yes, it is. I just don't like second base today. I just don't.
No, there's not a lot of options at all. Cleveland's side things against Fires. I think Cleveland's going to be popular as far as some of the cheaper options go, but the cheaper options are where I'm headed. I really like Yonder Alonso. Is he the guy that you were looking at, same price?
Yeah, I just wish he was like not first base eligibility on DraftKings because Max Muncy, but yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can't play Muncy at third because I'm sure you want to pay up and get like Arenado here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the dilemma here tonight. For me, it's using the cheaper options, and then like Michael Brantley here. If you want to pay up for Lindor Ramirez, that's fine. But as always, I'm kind of sticking below the 4,800 mark, and that kind of those guys fit that bill.
Yeah, for sure. I hope I'm a little concerned about Chisenhall, given that he's soreness in both calves. He's someone that I would have interest in. Him and Tyler Naquin, both at their price. Definitely interesting in this spot against Fires. Fly ball Fires, wind blowing out like 15 miles per hour. Like, I know over his last two starts against him, it's been like 13 innings, and he's held them to like 2 runs over those 13 innings. I do not expect that to be the case tonight.
No, I don't either. Cleveland's going to be a team that I look to stack, and I think kind of in that middle range stack with like using Lonzo, Kitness, Brantley, and then maybe even getting in like a Yan Gomes too.
Yeah, I kind of like Yan Gomes down at the catcher position. Like, I know he's 3,800 on DraftKings. It's kind of pricey, but it is a pretty good spot for Yan Gomes too.
Yeah. Moving on here, we got New York and Tampa in the Trop. CC Sabathia versus Ryan Stanek. This is a pretty meh game, I think, all around. Like one I don't really have any interest in on both sides, and especially pitching and hitting.
Yeah. Basically, like I think it was Sunday, actually, whenever I had the cheat sheets and CC took the mound against Tampa Bay, and I basically said, like, it's CC Sabathia. He's far from safe, but he has some upside in the spot against a Rays team that does strike out a decent amount against righties or lefties. And he struck out 10, gave up 3 runs, but struck out 10, took the loss as well. If you want to roll him out at that price, it's fine. He's in a decent spot. Obviously, you get the park upgrade for CC. I think I'd rather take the shot on Alex Wood or some cheaper options, or pay up for a couple guys that we're going to get to here shortly. But again, it's CC, and yeah, it's a good matchup for him.
It is, and the guy who throws, he's dodged the fastball. He throws a lot of off speed now, which does bode well for him against a race team that doesn't have a lot of contact against that slider, and even against that cutter that he's throwing. There's not a lot of options outside of a couple names, but you just can't get excited. Maybe a CJ Crone is kind of about it here if you want to take it, but the problem is there's other options in that range.
Yeah, Crone, Bowers, Carlos Gomez is a little bit interesting down at 3K on DraftKings. Maybe like a Johnny Field. Both guys very, very cheap. Could fit like value options if you're needing to pay down at one of your outfield spots. I think Gomez actually hits the cutter really well. Not a lot of contact, like 78%, but 400 WOBA, 333 ISO, about 43 batted ball events. So decent sample size there.
Yeah, 70% for Gomez is pretty positive comparison to some of those other stuff.
It's true.
Yankees bats, any interest here?
Sure, I guess. Like, it's the Yankees. Gleyber Torres, Didi, fine options here. Like Stanek, it's going to be 1 inning, 2 innings maximum, and then it's going to be Pruitt. Is it Pruitt night?
That's where I was seeing. I have to go back and check sometimes too, because there are times where I think they're going to be starting or pitching that long relief, and then they end up pitching like 4 innings the day before.
Yeah, he just pitched. Pruitt just pitched 2 innings 2 days ago. Screw you, Tampa Bay. Just stop with this BS. Like, it's such. I hate it. I hate the Yankees.
It took us 20 minutes to reach peak Brent irritated.
Yeah, I'm always going to go with the guys at the bottom of the order. And I guess now Gleyber Torres is batting up a little bit higher. If you want to take a shot on any of them, feel free, but I'm going other places tonight.
Yeah, I am too. Baltimore and Atlanta next here. Sean Newcomb versus Alex Cobb. I like Newcomb here tonight. Continuing to just kind of target these Baltimore bats. Newcomb has some strikeout upside. We've seen some good outings out of him of late. He's coming off a great start against San Diego, as you'd expect. But, I mean, I'm okay paying the 10-5 price tag for him.
I don't really see anywhere else to go in cash games for like on SP2 sites, especially. Like Newcomb's the guy. He's been really, really good this season. A lot of that has to do with some of his pitch development. Like I noted some of it in the pitching article, so I'll leave a little bit to the imagination. But 180 ERA over his past 4 home starts, leads the majors with 6 scoreless starts of at least 6 innings. If you look at some of the names that he's surrounded by as far as like ERA goes, he's like 13th, I think, is what I had in the pitching article. There's some interesting names behind him. It's just a really good spot for him. Like, I'm going to continue to take pitchers against the Orioles because the Orioles are trash.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, when you combine the ground ball rate and strikeout rate, it's very solid for Newcomb. A guy, like you said, has just developed excellent pitches, and he's getting some lifts on him as well. And this is just a Baltimore team that just absolutely sucks overall. They really do. I mean, 294 ISO, 137, or sorry, 294 WOBA, 137 ISO on their projected lineup. And you get to that strikeout rate. It's a little bit higher than I think what's projected when you get down to some of the bottom half guys, because Machado and Jones really weigh it down.
Yeah, they do. But then you have like Chris Davis with a 38.7% strikeout rate against lefties. Austin Wynn, small sample, 25%. Trumbo, 27%. Yeah.
Yeah. And even Mancini, I mean, striking out a decent amount.
How the hell is Chris Davis still employed by anybody?
Generally, when you make a lot of money and the GM doesn't want to look like an idiot, he stays up.
Like Hanley Ramirez just has to be like, what the hell is going on? Like my phone is not ringing, but Chris Davis is out here breaking records for like being the worst player in the history of freaking baseball.
Last I saw, he was on some Caribbean island. So I think he's enjoying himself. His phone may not even work. It may not even get signal where he's at.
It may not.
Atlanta side of things here against Cobb. I don't mind going with some Atlanta bats in this spot, especially some of the guys that have kind of fallen in price a little bit. Markakis is an interesting option here, but I kind of like paying up for Albies or like a Freeman tonight as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate taking a shot on some of these guys. Freeman's definitely in a good spot. I mean, Cobb has been up and down of late. I think he's been a little bit better than people give him credit for. I know he just got shelled by Toronto, but had a couple good outings sprinkled in there. Curveball's kind of coming around for him, and that's a little bit of a concern because not a lot of guys in this lineup that hit curveballs very well, except for like Freddie Freeman, who has a 321 ISO and 431 WOBA against the pitch. So I don't hate taking a shot on him. I do like Markakis and a couple of these guys a little bit, but if you're paying up at second base and you're fading like Altuve, Albies does kind of fit the bill.
Yeah, he does, and I think Camargo's interesting. He's hitting eighth, but guy who's 3-3. If you want to plug him in at shortstop, I don't mind him. 355 WOBA, but 184 ISO against righties this year, 40% hard contact rate. I mean, he's been a really solid bat, just been a little unlucky.
Yeah, I'm not fading Trevor Story though, so I'm not plugging anyone else in at shortstop.
Makes sense. Anyone else here?
No.
Kansas City and Houston, Danny Duffy taking on Dallas Keuchel. Any interest in either of these pitchers who have actually been kind of similar this year?
There's not a huge difference between the two. Keuchel's interesting, I guess. He's coming off a good outing against the Royals last time they played. 8,400 for him. He's been worse at home, though. So I guess if you believe in home road splits, you have that. Sure, I guess. Keuchel's interesting at that price in cash, I guess. I can never get excited about Dallas Keuchel anymore.
No, and I don't blame you. I mean, the guy's had like five sub 5 DK point starts in his last 10 games. Like he's been bad this year. And I know he just pitched well against this Royals team, but I still think even at the price, like I'm going to be fading. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get behind it either, but there's not a lot of places to go, and I think in that price range he might end up being somewhat popular.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't have interest in really picking on him. I definitely have much more interest in using Houston bats in this spot.
Yeah, Houston's going to be a popular offense. I guess if I was looking to pick on him, I mean, Salvador Perez, pretty decent option.
But, Whit
There,
Merrifield's fine.
yeah, there's some cheap options that you could take some shots on, like Hunter Dozier, Rosel Herrera is interesting at 2,900 on DraftKings. I don't hate taking a shot. Like if Herrera bats second, like I haven't projected it's second, like that's a pretty good value at like 2,900. He's probably not even in the player pool on FanDuel. Let's see.
I think he's in there.
He is. Congratulations. 2,500 on FanDuel outfield eligibility. Sure.
Yeah, I feel like whatever cheap bats gets up there because you could either have like Almonte or Paulo Orlando or whatever Yost feels like throwing out there that night, whatever he sticks to the wall. That's a punt play. There's punt plays in this Royals offense.
Yeah, there are.
Like we said, but they all suck.
They do.
Houston side of things here, expensive, but when you get to some of the back half guys, there it gets a little bit cheaper. But it's hard to say no to this, Houston offense who's taking on Danny Duffy, who just has been obliterated by right-handed bats.
Yeah. This is one of the spots where I'm okay with eating Houston chalk, even though they're at home and they're not as good at home for some reason, because Danny Duffy is terrible. 372 WOBA, 235 ISO, allowed to righties this season. Fly balls through the roof, almost 50%, a lot of hard contact. Danny Duffy is just absolutely terrible, and you're having a hell of a time with your dog over there. It's pretty funny to watch. Yeah, Houston's in a pretty good spot here. It's just a matter of who you want to get exposure to. Like, obviously, it's really tough to fade Evan Gattis and guys that have been just absolutely on fire. Correa's been hot. I love Gattis and Stassi, I think, behind the dish on DraftKings.
It's hard to say no to Gaddis right now, who just keeps raking. And yeah, my dog, he's excited about Houston. I mean, what can you say? It's Danny Duffy. He smells the WOBA. He smells the WOBA numbers.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spot for these Houston bats. Don't overlook guys like Marwin Gonzalez towards the bottom of that lineup. If I'm stacking Houston, I'm actually, again, I'm taking the Yankees approach and probably getting exposure to the bottom of the lineup. Gaddis, Marwin Gonzalez, Stassi, and Marisnik, just because they're going to be the less popular options.
Yeah, I agree. And especially if you're looking at guys like Story, I mean, Correa is going to be a guy that maybe you kind of fade. And, even guys like Bregman. Bregman's 5'2". I'd like him if he was a little bit cheaper.
Your dog likes Bregman. We got the bark of approval down there. Jake Marisnik on FanDuel 2K. There's your value option for the night. I think he's definitely interesting. But yeah, Houston's fine if you want to eat that chalk. And this is really, really funny to watch. People can't see what's going on, but Jason's just having a hell of a time over here.
2-month-old puppy. It feels like I'm a damn parent. That's what's going on. But I agree. Let's get moving here. He is not going to keep lasting. Next game, we got St. Louis and Milwaukee. Junior Guerra take on Jack Flaherty. I think Flaherty's interesting in this spot.
Yeah, I'm okay with Flaherty in cash games. A little bit concerned with his numbers against lefties. Obviously, fly balls, hard contact, up a little bit against lefties. And you're going to get Eric Thames, Christian Yelich, Travis Shaw, some power lefties in that lineup. But there's definitely some strikeouts here. Like Flaherty, a guy, 27% strikeout rate. This Brewers offense striking out a decent amount against righties. He's fine in cash, I think, at his price if you wanted to pair him with like Newcomb.
I agree. Given his stuff, his off-speed stuff's been excellent. I mean, 43% whiff rate on that slider, 38% on that curveball. He's getting guys out, even though he's allowing a big hard contact to the fastball. But I'm with you. I mean, we've seen Ryan Braun a little bit injured of late. He's day to day. It's just the lefties you got to worry about.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Cardinal side of things here against Guerra. I'm so sick of the Cardinals, and my dog is too.
I think everybody's sick of the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just terrible right now. Like, Guerra is a guy like I normally wouldn't hate taking a shot on a different slate. I think I would be a little more inclined to do it. At 8,200, he's pitched better of late. Hasn't been going very deep. Like I know he went like 5 and a third. He went 6 in the 3 outings before that. Strikeouts hit or miss, but it's a pretty decent spot I think for him against the Cardinals. I don't know that I want to take that shot tonight.
I'm with you. That ballpark, he's still allowing a lot of fly balls and hard contact, and I think that's what concerns me. Still against a team that can pop off every now and then. But then again, I just don't have a lot of interest. I feel like this is kind of another letdown spot for the Cardinals. I think this is just going to be a relatively low-scoring game, and Vegas agrees. If you want to take a shot on Carpenter, who's been red hot, he'd probably be the guy that I do it with.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
So. Next game here, we got Texas and Minnesota. Fernando Romero take on Mike Minor. Any interest in Romero here?
No, I agree with you. I agree with your puppy there. Guy, like I did like coming in, when he got his starts early in the season, but really struggles with lefties. 358 WOBA allowed, 239 ISO, and this is a very lefty heavy offense. Like I know Romero has that slider. And he throws like 25% of the time. But like you're going to get guys like Chu, Mazzara, Joey Gallo in that lineup that hit sinkers really well. I don't want to take that shot on Romero tonight.
The slider was what interested me, the most just against Texas. I still think he's a viable GPP option, like in a deep, deep sense, just because he's cheap. I do still think there is some strikeout upside, but getting Andrus back and having Beltre back, it does kind of add some more contact-prone bats into that lineup, and that actually do kind of hit sliders a little bit decently as well. So I don't know. He's in between. He's a guy I'm still kind of weighing for tonight.
Yeah, maybe I'm still a little bit burnt from targeting another pitcher that we were like, yeah, if that slider's good for him, then he'll be fine. And it wasn't good for him.
No. I do think you can get away with using some guys, like if you want to look at like Chu or Mazzara. Those are interesting lefty outfield options.
Yeah, Chu, Mazzara, Andrews, even though I'm not fading Trevor Story at shortstop. Rougned Odor, a value second baseman on DraftKings, who's actually since returning from injury, like I don't think he's had a game since where he didn't actually score any DraftKings points.
He's been really solid of late. I think the home runs have started to come in, or extra base hits have started to come. Strikeouts not terribly bad of late either. Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So Minnesota side of things here. There's a couple of bats I don't mind. Once again, it's just been a time where, like, look at this Minnesota side, and the right-handed bats haven't done anything, and Minor's actually not terribly bad against lefties, but he's just still allowing over 200 ISO.
Yeah, I was hoping we could just, like, skip this whole game because I don't want to talk about Eddie Rosario and Escobar both being injured.
Yeah, that's a problem. If Minor was any better, showing any form, I would actually take a shot.
Yeah, I probably would too. I don't know who's gonna be in this lineup if those guys aren't able to go. But like Ehire Adrianza, I guess interesting now that his price is back down to like 3,100. You're gonna get like Ryan Lamar and some of these other names in that lineup if Rosario and Escobar can't go.
Is Mike Minor potentially like a potential price point play here if this lineup is just so bad?
That's what I'm actually considering it. Like he's been really bad on the road. But like, man, if those two bats are out of the lineup, he's a guy I might have interest in on DraftKings on SP2 sites.
Yeah, 5,400, especially if you're trying to get like some loaded bats in there and like pair them with like a Newcomb or something up top.
Yeah.
It's not the worst idea in the world there because I really don't have a ton of interest in Twins bats.
Nope.
So let's move on. Miami, Colorado. Let's blow through this one because we can easily. Wang and Chen's on the site. Whatever right-handed bat pops in this lineup, you've heard Brent say he's not fading Story. Arenado's the guy that you can pay up for. And then obviously you have Desmond, LeMahieu, if you want to play like Cuevas and Ionetta at the bottom of the lineup, even though their numbers don't particularly stand out this year. Go for it.
Tom Murphy.
Anyone
In this lineup. If they're in the lineup, they're probably going to be in my DraftKings lineup. Wei Chen and Coors not gonna bode very well. And this dude giving up a lot of power to lefties too this season. So like, and a lot of fly balls and a lot of hard contact to lefties. So like Charlie Blackmon, Cargo, they're fine options too. Just whatever player from the Rockies side of this game fits your lineup, play him. But don't fade Arenado or Story. Like, find other ways to beat contrarian tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. John Gray against the Marlins, in Coors. We just haven't seen a lot of great John Gray starts. He pitched okay against the Phillies. The strikeouts have been there of late. I don't know if he's going to get that tonight, though.
No, and I actually have some interest in some of these Marlins bats. Like, if you look like Dietrich at the top of that lineup is not terribly priced on DraftKings. I really like him in the spot. John Gray, a guy that's been just obliterated by lefties this season, 347 WOBA, 200 ISO. Hard contact is up against lefties, so I like Dietrich in the spots. Justin Bohr, obviously in a pretty good spot for a guy with a lot of power, but like, I just wish there were more lefties. Like, I don't know, is JB Shuck? He's hurt, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh no, he's not. He might be in the lineup. He'd be a value bat for you. What else do they have? They have JT Riddle.
Don't even mention any other shorts because we know where you're going.
Yeah. Dietrich for me and Dietrich Bohr, but like, I don't hate like Real Muto or Anderson in there either.
No, I don't either. Real Muto's a little pricey, but if you're paying down at pitching and just want to stack this game in general, I think it's interesting. I don't think Bohr is even going to be that popular.
I don't think he would either.
So yeah, feel free to use these guys. Toronto and LA, Marco Estrada take on Andrew Heaney. It is Heaney, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because Skaggs was
scratched last night.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. For some reason it pops up. But Heaney, Estrada, I think the Angels are interesting in this spot for sure against Estrada.
Yeah, I have some interest in the Angels. Estrada has looked a little bit better of late, but fly ball Estrada is still someone that I want to target here. I just gotta say, my boy Cole Calhoun heating up.
He got going
hot.
Oh, you missed the Valbuena game. 2 homers last night.
Don't talk to me anymore. I'm hanging up.
Man, I think this lineup's interesting because they're fairly cheap, a lot of them. And I think if you need a lot of value, you can go here. You mentioned Calhoun, he's 2.6. Maldonado's a 2.8 option. But even guys like, Justin Upton's 4.5, Kinsler's 3.9. Like, there's some options here in this lineup. And like you said, Estrada's pitched better of late, but still a guy with, allowing a ton of hard contact to right-handers and a lot of fly balls. And I think Angels will be a team that just people kind of overlook.
Yeah, Pujols is interesting at 3.7. Good changeup hitter, good numbers against Estrada in his career, but also not terribly expensive. I still like Fernandez as a value option. First base, second base eligible on DraftKings. Yeah, I like them as tournament options. They're not going to be popular at all. I'm not paying $6K for Mike Trout, though.
No, I'm not either. Because it's hard to fit other guys that are around $6K in with another $6K player.
even if it was easy, I still wouldn't pay 6K for Mike Trout. Like, I know it's Mike Trout, and I know he's been great, but like, still not paying 6K for Mike Trout.
Yeah. The only guy I'll pay 6K for is Mookie Betts in Baltimore.
Mookie Betts and Camden Yards, maybe.
Yeah. Toronto side things here. Heaney on the hill, not projected very high. I don't know. It's kind of a wash situation for me here.
Yeah, he's a guy. I mean, basically just fastball, curveball. I mean, I know the Blue Jays don't hit off-speed stuff that well. You do have Grichuk, and that's about it that has power against curveballs. So I don't hate taking a shot on Grichuk, but Devin Travis, a guy at least interesting given his price on DraftKings at second base as a value option. This side of this game is pretty much, like you said, kind of a wash.
Yeah. Steve Pearce is back with Toronto. He's first base outfield eligibility at 3,400. If he's leaning off, I don't hate him as an outfield option. I probably won't use him at first base, but 3,400 outfield, a guy who's hit lefties well and shown before the injury, but I'll probably take a wait-and-see approach on him.
Yeah, another guy, Solarte, is interesting. Hits Heaney's fastball range really well, has been good against lefties this season. What's his price?
44.
Not terribly expensive. I don't hate that.
No, I don't either. I think these guys are all kind of like one-offs if you're ever going to go here just to be contrarian.
Yes.
Last game of the night, San Diego, San Francisco, Chris Stratton take on Clayton Richard. Probably not going to be a particularly high-scoring game here, but I think you can get away with a couple one-offs.
Chris Stratton made it in my pitching article.
Take the floor, sir.
And it's less about Chris Stratton and more about the fact that it's the Padres. And that's all it comes down to. Like, he's cheap. It's the Padres. There's strikeout potential for him. Good park. He's cheap. It's the Padres. There's strikeout potential for him. Good park.
Yeah, I don't hate him at 7,300. It's a price point play, you know, on these slates where you just get dreadful pitching options, and you tend to just kind of look and see who's pitching against San Diego and hope he's fairly cheap.
Yes, and he is cheap, and we just saw him not too long ago put up a good game against him. Like, I'm not expecting him to completely replicate that by any means, but he's cheap. It's the Padres. It's a good park.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't mind him for once. I think this is the first time I actually don't mind using Stratton, and it's June 21st.
Yeah, actually, I think I let off my article. It's June 22nd, by the way. I let off my article with, like, I am far from a Chris Stratton truther, but you can use him in this spot.
Yeah. San Francisco side of things here. Clayton Richard, a guy who just, you know, he hasn't pitched bad of late. I'm not really looking to pick on him too much. You know, I'm kind of okay with the usual, you know, lefty one-offs that you're looking at, like McCutchen or like a Mac Williamson if you want, or Posey. Like, I'm okay with these guys, but Richard's been good.
Yeah, I kind of like Gorky, Hernandez, McCutchen, Posey, as you mentioned, Williamson, guys at the top of that lineup. Kelby Tomlinson and Joe Panic, I think, are two interesting value options if you need to pay down. Neither guy really jumps off the page, but Panic is just so cheap on DraftKings. Like, I think you have to at least consider him.
Yeah, 3K, especially at a position that where you're not terribly high on. Okay to kind of punt this spot tonight.
Yes.
So, home run calls. We know Muncie's off the board. Give us your second.
Nico Goodrum.
Ooh, I like it. Oh man, there's so many options. I feel like tonight. I don't know. Give me Kyle Schwarber here. And then the problem is I got to find these games that actually might play.
Any edge you can get.
Yeah, no kidding. Give me Ian Kinsler here as well. He's been showing some power late.
I dig it.
That's it for us. Excuse the dog. He won't be back for any remaining pods for the rest of the year. We're going to send him down to AAA. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our tools and content, and we'll be back next week.
Good luck tonight.